One of the things that we commonly need to do when we're working with systems is determine what the IP address is of given devices. Now, either we're going to look at the IP address of me as the machine that I happen to be on, or the IP address of other machines that are on the network. Now, there's a couple different ways we can go about doing these things. The easiest way is if I actually have access onto the router and can see what is going on as far as how the DHCP entries are being served out and therefore what the IP addresses are. So right here you're looking at my network here, basically on the network config, and we can see any given machine that's on board what the IP address is. So here is a machine called SE3910 CS3841 that happens to have an IP address 192.168.1.163. That's the machine I'm going to be demonstrating in just a moment. We can see that I have a Raspberry Pi here, 192.168.1.164. Most of the time, you as a developer don't necessarily have access to this information on the router. There's other ways you can obtain it using a tool like Nmap or something like that. But there's other ways to get information about who I am that's important. And that is something we need to know, is who I am when I'm developing if there's problems networking wise. So let's take a look at how we can do that within Linux. So traditionally, the tool we would use within Linux to determine the IP address that I have on my machine is essentially a tool called ifconfig. So we would do sudo ifconfig like so, and what we find is that has been replaced within Debian. Debian and the distribution tools have gone to a different way of doing this. But ifconfig is still available. ifconfig is the one that you can find the most information online about. So I want to demonstrate how you would go about putting that onto your machine. So it's a very easy install. Sudo apt get install net-tools like so. So we'll build the dependency tree, fetch the information, and in just a few moments here, we will actually have, hopefully, an installed package here. If everything has worked properly, it's being set up. Now, I can do sudo ifconfig, and we will see that the IP address that has been given to my machine is right here, 192.168.1.163. Matching exactly the IP address that I had in the example being shown by the router. Okay, so this is the old way. Like I said, it's been superseded in some newer versions by a new tool. So there's a tool called IP, and there's a lot of options on this that you can get information on. As far as what's going on, routing tables, a lot of complexity in this tool. I'm not going to go into all of the details of all the things that you can do with it, just like I didn't show you everything that you can do with ifconfig, because there's a lot of complexity to it. But if I would just like to figure out essentially what the IP address is that I've been assigned by most likely the DHCP server, I can simply do IP address like so. And this will return to me the IP address. Here right now is my internet address. So 192.168.1.163, which matches what I had right here. So 192.168.1.163. Either one of these ways works, whether you want to do it with ifconfig if you install it, or IP and address. With them being installed, there's a man page for using ifconfig, and it explains all the different options to it. And there also is a man page for IP that you can look at. So that's going to bring this video on how you figure out your own IP address to a conclusion.